will tear your soul apart. Evening, folks, and welcome to the Horror Corner. I'm your host, Sean Patrick Erschen, and this week we take a look back at the immortal 80s horror classic, Clive Barker's Hellraiser. Written and directed by Clive Barker. Guess he wanted it to be his own vision completely, all his own. And thank God he did, because we got an amazing classic that is unforgettable. And it's something that's so original and so different in the horror genre. Something that we had never seen before. It's not a slasher movie. It's not a monster movie, really. It's something that's just out there. And that's something that I think was really needed in the horror genre. As there was too many like slasher movies with madmen, with serial killers that are unstoppable, and we need something different. So horror master Clive Barker came up with a great novel called The Hellbound Heart, and he adapted it to the big screen. So as the story goes, we first meet Larry and his brand new wife Julia, and they move into this house, and it's a really old house, and like a typical, like something you see in a haunted house movie. It's really beat down, but it's an old colonial style beautiful mansion, but it's pretty run down, so it's obvious that they're going to have to make a lot of alterations. And we find out that when they start looking around through the house, that there's a lot of stuff there still. And we find out that actually Larry's brother, Frank, played by Sean Chapman in the movie, had been living there secretly. And all his crap is all over the place, and it's a mess, and he's got food all over the kitchen, and there's like maggots crawling all around. It's disgusting. This guy's a slob, I tell you. But we found out something is really sinister going on with Larry's brother Frank, and but he seems to have completely disappeared, and no one knows where he is. But we just know that he was living in that house before they got there, and we find out a little bit of the history of Frank, and we find that Frank was actually part of this weird kind of cult thing where there's this secret puzzle box, and when you solve the puzzle box, it releases these demons from hell, basically. And they're like these freaky, like S&M monsters with these leather outfits, and there's this guy Pinhead. He's got literally pins hammered into his head, and it's really sick looking. Pinhead's the leader of this group called the Cenobites. They're these demons from hell, and one of them is like a chatterbox. He's got pretty much no face, just a mouth, and it's like, and there's this guy that looks like Jabba the Hutt with the fucking sunglasses. And there's this freaky looking chick with these wires pumping out blood from her neck or something. It's freaky. She's got a nasty knife. But these things are really sick looking. But it looks like there's definitely some kind of sadomasochism going on there. And I guess that's what these Cenobites do. They'll bring you the ultimate in sexual pleasure and sexual pain at the same time, depending on what you choose. So as Pinhead said, the angels to some, demons to others. One thing's for sure, they're definitely evil, and all they care about is torturing and murdering people for all eternity. That's all they want to do. But we also meet Larry's daughter, Kirsty, who's basically the final girl in this movie, and she's a really good one. I'd say one of the best in horror history, played by Ashley Laurence. She's really likable, really down to earth, really like the girl next door, and we really care about her. She's very She's a very nice girl, very likable, and but she moved on with her own life. She's grown up and she's moving into this new apartment. But the father kind of wants her to move back in with them, so he can help establish a relationship with his wife Julia and her daughter, because they hadn't really gotten to know each other at all. And what we found out about Julia is she's kind of a gold digger. You can tell that the only reason that she married Larry is for the money. So she's definitely kind of shady. And what we also find out about Julia is that she had an affair with Larry's brother Frank. So there's definitely some history there, and that definitely comes to play later in the film. And so what we find out is Julia finds something really horrific in one of the rooms in the house, and what she finds is the dead body of Frank, Larry's brother. Only he's not dead. All you see is um his he's got no skin. It's just flesh. That's all he is flesh and blood, and you see pieces of his skull coming out. It's really disgusting. Really nasty gore effects in this film. Let me tell you, some of the nastiest but yet most realistic gore effects I've seen in film. And it's so sick the way you see it, and you could tell it's really anatomically correct too. uh, but what we find out about Frank is he was he did conjure up the Cenobites using the puzzle box, and but somehow he got away, and you're never supposed to escape the Cenobites. Nobody escapes us, as Pinhead says. um, but somehow he managed to escape the clutches of the Cenobites, and he enlists the help of Julia, and given their history together, she does it. She still wants him, and she pretty much loves him, and she'll do anything for him. Because I guess he gave it to her good, and she wants some more. She wants him to get back to normal so he can start tapping that ass again. uh, yeah, so Julie's definitely a pretty shady character. All she wants is sex and money, and that's it. She doesn't give a damn about having no kind of relationship. So what Frank needs is blood, more blood, almost like a vampire in a way. But the twist is, the more blood he gets, the more his body develops, and he gets more skin, and he starts to become more normal again. With each body that she brings to Frank. So what happens is Frank basically has her go out and be like a prostitute almost, picking up these poor, uh, desperate guys from bars, getting all dolled up and putting on all the makeup and getting her hair done all nice, and um, picking up these lonely guys at random bars in town. And she brings them home to Frank to kill. And suck that blood out and drain their brains and everything. And it's so disgusting when they show it. She gets so bad that she actually helps kill the guys. Like, you see her hammer and the dude's skull in, bashes skull in. It's nasty. So she basically becomes a murderer, a serial killer for this guy. She picks these guys up from the bar, kills them, and hands them over to Frank. So with each body, as I said, Frank comes more and more alive. And eventually, as the movie goes on, you can start seeing his face form. But once Kirsty gets involved, Kirsty Cotton, as I said, is the great final girl in this movie. She finds out what happened with Frank. And the way she finds out is she finds the puzzle box in the house. And she unwittingly releases the Cenobites Of course, all the Cenobites want to do is kill her and torture her for all eternity, but she makes a deal with them. She tells them, "I didn't mean to release you guys. I was just trying to find out about this guy Frank because he escaped you guys." And he's like, "Nobody escapes us." And then, so they make a deal with her. The Cenobites make a deal with Kirsty to bring them the head of Frank. And that's pretty much how the movie goes. The Cenobites try and track her down, but at the same time, they still want Kirsty all along. They really enjoy Kirsty. They want to punish her. They really want to do bad stuff to her. But at any rate, it's a wonderful movie. It's incredibly original, and it's such a breath of fresh air in the horror genre that was the 80s. So no matter what, you absolutely have to see this movie. And also see the sequel, Hellbound Hellraiser 2, an excellent sequel, which I have mentioned before. Um, as far as a franchise as a whole, it begins to go downhill once you get to 3 and 4 and all that, but the first two are absolutely stellar. So run and buy Clive Barker's Hellraiser, directed by and written by Clive Barker himself, and starring Ashley Laurence, Andrew Robinson, Clare Higgins, and Sean Chapman, and yes, Doug Bradley as the great Pinhead, the horror icon of the 80s. So thank you for joining me, Sean Patrick Erschen, in the Horror Corner. Tune in and stay scared.